at Randy Orton slithering.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
KO! Here's the cover.
Hey, what's up guys, back with another video here today, and this one we're on that continuation of our grind up to the FV4005, or the shit barn as it is called, nicknamed. I'm going to show you a couple of the games in the tier 9 though today in the Conway, a couple of my better games in the tank. Something to note, this tank, it has two choices of guns, so you can either use a 120mm that has really good rate of fire, or you can use the gun that I use for the entire grind because, well, I'll just be honest, I like the Hesh beams and it was just kind of enjoyable. And that is, it's a 5.5 inch gun that it hits really hard. I think it's 770 alpha with Hesh, and then I believe it's 600 on the AP rounds. Now for this gun, I usually, you see on this game I had 20 AP, 10 Hesh. I actually transitioned to later on in the grind 15 AP and 15 Hesh. I will say, running this gun and the loadout and the way I used it, I rarely made money. I was always in the negative. Isn't that surprising? But yeah, if you play this gun, play this tank using this gun, expect not to make much money, especially if you use a lot of the Hesh rounds. It's just not gonna add up real well there for you. But you see, it can really pack a whopping with the AP rounds still. It's over 500 damage. It's still, that's a low roll, like over 60, I think. Yeah. But this tank's kind of awkward. I will say, you don't want to really get overextend it with it. You kind of want to use your teammates, be a second line support kind of guy. Another note, which you may notice on my map right there, is that with the 5.5 inch gun on this tank, the turret doesn't rotate fully. It only rotates 180 degrees frontally, basically. Now with the 120mm, the turret does fully rotate. And that's something to note. And that's something I think I should have done. I should have at least played a couple games with the 120. I just didn't. Again, I was having too much fun with this gun. It was really just kind of a good laugh, and you kind of see why in these two games. I mean, it was just kind of hilarious to see what you could do to enemies. But you see how I'm not really leading the charge. I'm always pushing up with the rest of my team, just making sure I'm not caught out alone. You really don't want to be caught out alone in this thing, because especially with the 5.5, if something gets around the back of you, you're not going to be able to get them, even though it is fairly quick on its feet. Here's kind of a risky play, but we were able to smack the waffle with the Hesh round for a good bit of damage right there. And you see, we're just kind of taking up position here, making sure we don't expose ourselves to any shots from TDs, because they have a ton of TDs on their team. And we line up this shot, and it somehow hits. I mean, sometimes, like I said, always better to be lucky than good. Now, we don't want this Foch to push up on us, so we're just kind of playing it safe. See, he's distracted, so we poke up and just nail one in there. Something else noticed about this gun, it has the engine's pretty decent on it. It accelerates fairly quick for how large of a tank this is, which is another thing I'll go into, but I might as well right now. It really... obviously, the size of it makes it does not have good camo. Like, it's not the typical TD. It's a really awkward TD because you can't really expect to like sit back and snipe. This is not a good idea. You gotta be that more second line, pop out when people aren't looking kind of thing, like that. You see all their focus is on that one TD. You pop out and somehow it connects right there. I don't really understand how that pen never did, but yeah. But something kind of it's kind of weird is this tank actually has a fairly quick reverse speed, which kind of lets you pop in and out really quick, which is very nice. But it's almost like a big fat slow medium. It's kind of weird, just a really weird tank. But again, something I enjoyed. I didn't think I would enjoy this tank going into it, but if you can really position yourself correctly, you can pull off some really good games in it. So another great thing about it is that there's no stock grind per se on this tank, since the stock gun is the 120 mil from the Tortoise. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about using like a 20 pounder or something like that like you did on the Charioteer tier lower. You automatically get a gun that's capable of competing at any tier. Another kind of unique thing about this is that it actually has some, for the most part, you don't want to rely on armor on this thing, but it can be kind of troll. The turret face can be. It can kind of absorb some shots just for some odd reason. But it's not something I'd ever try to depend on. Trust me on that. I just wouldn't. Something to note also is that you can see it has easily one of the lowest hit point pools at tier 9 for a tank destroyer. It's only 1500. That's only as much as a tier 8 heavy tank, and in some cases it's less. When you compare it to something like a Yag Tiger that has 1800 or something, you don't want to take hits. You really don't want to trade unless you really have to. Another thing is, it just doesn't have much ammo, so you got to kind of make your shots count. The ammo capacity with the 5.5 is only 30 rounds, and then I don't know the rounds on the 120, but it's not much either. I want to say it's maybe 40 rounds on that. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me in the comments if it is. But it's probably somewhere between 30 and 40 rounds of the 120 mil, if I'm trying to guess. But it's really an interesting tank because you can really, with the 120, you can take out, if you keep that gun singing, like you can just decimate their heavies and mediums. But with the Hesh rounds, you don't want to be fighting like E100s frontally or something like that. You'd rather be getting the side shots, and if going after like light tanks, paper mediums, paper TDs, stuff like that, the sides of like heavies. But in all reality, you really just want to kind of not be fighting in that kind of situation. And if you do find yourself fighting like mouse tanks or stuff like that, there is, again, the AP rounds, which have 260 pen on the 5.5 inch, which is still pretty good. And I think the Hesh round, if I didn't cover it before, have 200 millimeters of pen, which is pretty good. But again, it's not enough for going to the front of those type of tanks. So if you see that kind of tank, I just suggest like tracking it, maybe switching to AP, and just kind of keeping it tracked for your teammates. So I'm gonna, that's probably enough on the tanks themselves at this point. The first game was pretty good. It was about 6k damage, but here we're teamed up with AJ, and he's in the light tank spotting, and you see we're just gonna go to town on these guys' crossings. We put a big shot of Hesh into the guy for over 700 damage, and never we lined up the Tiger 2, and with another huge damage. We're already up to 1500 damage in 2 shots. This is just a really great map and setup for us. It's a tier 9 game, I believe. I didn't look at the score before, but when you have a platoon like this and you have one in a light, one in a TD, and you get a map like Lakeville and you can spot the crossing, do it every time. I really highly suggest that from both spawns. I mean, you saw that bad chat video a couple week or so ago. It's just a really good combination. Now you see AJ gets spotted, and so shells start coming in. And they start firing at this position because it's it's pretty well known by this point that it's where people like to hide out. And we're gonna line up this Tiger 2 again, and that shell just misses right over the top. Could have aimed it a little better, I think, in my opinion, but I still think it probably should have came off. But we're just gonna keep looking this way. Hopefully anybody. Maybe he pokes back out, which I think he does. Yes, he does. And yeah, we get him, set him on fire, and basically 2-shot the Tiger 2. Yeah, it's at this point where I think I started talking to AJ, and I'm like, there's nobody in the town for us, and they have tanks that have started to push through, so it's probably time to fall back to the base. Since it looks like most of our team went to the valley like that, as you can see on the map. And yeah, it's just time to go to a different position. Which we can still have a good result from here, especially if we're excuse me, We're gonna try to hit this guy, but don't think it comes off now. Like I said, even if you get in the turret like this, it's not a... Yeah, don't expect to bounce anything in this tank. Now, we were able to pick up over close to 3,200 damage on that crossing. Not 3,300, but 3,200 on that initial spot, which is really good because it means that they won't be on full health by the time they come over here. So they'll be on kind of a weakened state, so we can still hopefully push them back, even with only like maybe 4 or 5 tanks that are in our base defending. But right now, they're still pushing. They're not the big threat right now. Right now, I want to make sure this the valley is secure. We see they have a lot of tanks over there. I kind of just pull back and see I'm starting to get looked at, so I'm just like, I just snapshot it. Probably didn't need the snapshot because it's probably not going to hit. But you see they're kind of ignoring me now, so I get able to line with this I6 shot. He backs up just as we pull it out, so it hits his track, and only does about 290 damage or so. But we're just playing peekaboo here, and just waiting and just looking. They're distracted, and then we're able to line up them again, and this time it pens for over 800 damage. This thing, when you get like unangled armor like that, like against those tier 8s, it's devastating. Plus it's high explosive, so it's going to do a lot of module damage, take out crew members, stuff like that. It's going to mess their tank up bad. It really is. And it kind of prepares you for what you're going to get to tier 10, the kind of result. Because they're kind of similar tanks. This has got less of a boomstick, and you have the choice of not using the big Hesh rounds, but you get used to that big kind of huge target for the enemy. It's kind of awkward looking tank to play, slow turret rotation, but you kind of get used to that. And here we somehow don't pen the dragon. I think it just hit his tracks, but we're able to track him in place regardless and take him out. You see, this game's still close, but from this position I feel pretty comfortable that we're still going to be able to pull this off. You see, they're already on like half health or less over there, so we're not really that worried. I just lined this up, and I think that penned the lower plate, which is, I guess we gotta, I don't know what the armor on that thing is. It's kind of awkward, but it's the lower plate. Most lower plates of things are kind of low or weak. So now that flank's kind of secure at the moment, we're gonna come back over here and look at these guys. And the E75's lower plate is looking up at us, but again, we've switched back to AP, so we can do guaranteed damage at this point, because they're all on about one shots for our AP rounds. So we're able to just pick these guys off. It'd be good to get guns out of the game. We need to make sure these guys get penned, so that's why I'm not using the HE rounds at the moment. Even as fun as they are, I'm just making sure we can get some of these guns off the board for those 2 guys that are down in the valley. I think the Alpine Tiger, that is, pushed over. He's kind of our main, I just want to get him out. But he's kind of an awkward position. Unfortunately, AJ gets taken out by their Centurion. Centurion's kind of a pain. That's who I'm kind of want to get out actually now, because he's got that haul down ability, and he's just kind of a pain to get rid of, especially after they buff the turret on that thing. But we aim it up, and it's still not enough for 260 millimeters of pen. So we're able to take him out. And now it's all that's left is 1 tank in the valley. And so we're like, okay, obviously we don't need to stay here any longer. You can see we've racked up over 6.7k in damage, which, looking back at this game now, it doesn't seem like that was that hard to achieve. But like I said, if you can get these rounds to start penning and you just stay alive and stay on full health, you can really rack up the damage. It's just about positioning where to put this tank at. Again, you don't want to like get separated from your teammates with this thing. And at least with this gun, it's not the best sniper, but here we're just gonna get this guy some ammo. Some ammo, I don't know. But we're gonna pick up our top gun and push us over 7k damage done in the Conway with the dirt. And yeah, I really enjoyed this tank overall, playing it. It was fun. I may actually in the future buy it back, because I may try it with the 120. But in all reality, I'll put the Hesh rounds back on and just have a laugh. That's really all it's for. But yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. Until then, See ya.